Now, as you know, we are, a month and a bit now into the greatest prime ministership in the history of Australia. Anthony Albanese is, of course, already better than any re-elected prime minister in the history of Australia. I mean, I'm just checking with the media here. There is a chance that he could... We actually may not need a referendum to become Australian president, because there is a chance that Albo just will automatically rise to this position. And as you know, there's been plenty of victory laps. Lots of victory laps where he was... How good we won the election, but then there was one in Western Australia, there was one in Queensland, there was one apparently in his local area of Marrickville Town Hall just last weekend, where the greatest leader of all time is walking amongst us. And of course, he is phenomenal overseas. I don't know if you know this, but Australia is back at the top of the charts on everything international. No more of this, that guy in Australia. They know Albo's name everywhere they walk. I mean, from the bike paths of Jakarta to the most powerful parts of the White House. They're all talking Albo. But maybe he's kind of believing his own press here. You see, what's slightly concerning is that Albo mightn't be that great with numbers. And last time I checked, numbers are really important when you want to run a government, not just be its Teflon-like front man. Well, as you know, to get anything passed through the Senate, Labor can't do it unless they have all of the Greens, the Tiffany Teal, David Pocock, the former footy player from the ACT. That's the only way you get to 39 votes to pass anything in the upper house without trying to go begging to the Liberals. The Labor Party plus the Greens and maybe the Team Lambie, which is 2 senators, that'll get you to 40. But while I slightly admire the balls to put some of these people back in their places, if you need their vote to get anything done, why are you taking staff off? Independents in the lower house, good. They play no real role. But in the upper house, you need any combination of Pocock or the 2 Lambies to get anything done. But what about the reaction of the Tiffany Teals when their staffers went from 4 advisors to 1 advisor? When they were reminded that they aren't the people running the country, they are the people who have found a way to become passengers on the way while watching people of government actually govern or argue against it. Zali Steggall jumps on with a big red X for Albo. Didn't mind the crossbench staff having to put up with alternative policies and push anti-corruption commission and climate rah, 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 rah. No difference to Morrison. Well, of course, as Zali and the rest of the Teals need to understand, you told us you weren't a party. You told us that you were just a collection of individuals. Yet you plan to have exactly the same stand on basically everything, and slowly but surely you can kind of share a bit of information between each other, and you would be able to hack the system the same way that you were able to hack the election. Not because your victories weren't statistically legitimate, but you thought that it was all going to revolve around you. Well, guess what? You are now the voices of minority at the end of the building. But I am fascinated by what is happening in the upper house. David Pocock, who's not even been sworn in as a senator, is already starting to throw the toys out of the cot. This decision is hypocritical and double standard that actively disadvantaged community-backed independents while preserving the status quo of the major parties. What is hypocritical about it? The party of government needs lots of advisors because they draft laws and they pass them. The party of opposition needs lots of information because they are the potential alternative government. You have the Greens, who now have, about 10, 11 members of the Senate, and between them they can keep their numbers up. But I'm sorry, if you're one woodchuck at the end of the room, guess what? You're going to be one woodchuck at the end of the room. The bizarre thing is that this woodchuck can actually decide whether legislation passes or fails. So what I am particularly interested in here, and if only there was an Albo whisperer on the show tonight, is I'd just like to know, this bloke was Leader of the House between 2010 and 2013, when, remember, the government couldn't exist without Oakeshott and Windsor. So he knows that while he's king of everything downstairs, he still needs to go cap in hand to the Greens +1 to get anything done in the upper house. So why cut their staff, knowing that they would throw their toys out of the cot? So my bold prediction here is that this will become the first major example of each way elbowism in government. And it'll be fascinating to know what the excuses are, because right now, ministers are out there on television saying we fully support this decision. Remember when Penny Wong fully supported the decision to not go ahead with same-sex marriage? Well, that's exactly what they're now arguing when it comes to this position that will make it harder to get anything done in the Senate.
They say it's unfair and arrogant. What do you say?
Well, if you're a Labor MP or a Liberal MP or a Nat, you get 4 staff. If you're a Green or if you're a crossbench MP, you get 8. You know, that seems to me to be a bit out of whack. What Albo is saying here is that, you know, if you're a crossbench MP, you'll get an extra member of staff above and beyond what a Labor or Liberal or a Labor, Liberal or a Nat MP will get, and we'll put extra resources into the parliamentary library. That seems to me to be pretty fair.
Well, I think it's been a surprise to a lot of people. It was a surprise to me, frankly, to learn that some backbenchers get twice as many staff as other backbenchers.
Well, it's particularly a surprise when they're now saying that they're not going to vote for government legislation. Which brings me to, I am a great supporter of the crossbench. For as long as I've had a show, I've talked about minor parties, about how there is going to be a need for them, essentially, to be the insurance policy in the Senate. But when immediately people's political reaction is to say, and we will not pass any piece of legislation unless we get what we want, then sorry, why did you put your hand up to be a member of parliament for 6 years or 3 years in the Senate? At some point, you have to make a decision. But won't it be fascinating to watch? Azali Segal says there's no difference to her between Morrison and Albanese, that there's no difference when it comes to Pocock's view. Wait, watch and see. But all I can say is I enjoy left-on-left political violence. It's fun to watch. Anyway, we're in the front row. We'll talk about it every single night.